I've said it before and I'll say it again. Travel nurses have been making a killing over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, some legislators think that travel nurses are making too much money and that their salaries should be capped. Many of you have asked me to weigh in on this topic, and you better believe I have a thing or two to say about it. If you don't know who I am by now, my name is Jason. My wife, Monica, and I are both nurses. Working for one of the highest paying hospital systems in the entire country, I make videos where I break down nursing salaries to show nurses how to make the most important financial decisions of their lives. In doing so, hopefully you'll be able to break free from living paycheck to paycheck and reach financial independence and early retirement. So with that said, all that I ever ask is that you hit the like button so this video could spread to more viewers like you. And if you really enjoy this type of content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. Anyway, let's move on to the content. First, for some context, let's see where this topic first began to make headlines. On February 2nd, a Reddit post first appeared asking the question, why would Congress want to cap travel nurse salaries and not hospital CEO salaries? This Reddit post currently has 8,400 upvotes and 728 comments. In an article on the Richmond Times titled "For Travel Nurses, Salary Caps Are Not the Answer," they mentioned that in response to the average pay of travel nurses increasing, nearly 200 members of the U.S. House of Representatives sent a letter to the White House on January 24th asking the White House to take action to curb what they call anti-competitive activity. They stated that the increased pay for travel nurses may be explained by how agencies seemingly seized the opportunity to increase their bottom line, and their letter calls on the White House to task agencies such as the Federal Trade Commission to investigate the current situation and propose a solution. So, what does this mean in layman's terms? These legislators are asking the White House to regulate how these travel agencies charge for every travel contract. This in turn means that travel nurses could see a cap or a decrease in their rates. Now, why do I think this is a bad idea? First, we have to consider, why is travel nursing pay so high at the moment? And we have to take a look at the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years, with the increasing hospitalization rate due to COVID, hospitals nationwide have had such a shortage of nurses that states like Texas have even gone as far as forbidding nurses from quitting their jobs. Another thing that you need to take into account is that many nurses have been leaving the profession. You can watch my video where I talk about why nurses are leaving the profession, and you'll see that many nurses are just tired of it. This pandemic has taken a toll on all of us, and many of us staff nurses either believe that we are understaffed, underpaid, or underappreciated, which leaves us with more reason to want to leave our current jobs and go somewhere where we will at least feel valued for the work that we do. That's where travelers come in. At the moment, the demand is so high for nurses that the only way they can fill this demand is by hiring travel nurses. This means that the current rates are just a result of supply and demand. The lower the supply and the higher the demand, the more expensive this type of labor is going to be, which is why you see doctors in the Midwest earning a lot more than doctors in major cities like in LA or New York City. But let's look at this from another perspective. In reality, at the moment, the average travel nurse can earn upwards of $5,000 per week in a state like California. As of September in 2021, the average pay for a traveler was up 132% nationally if you compare it to 2019. If you look at the average national weekly rate for travel nurses, in August of 2021, the average rate was $2,500 per week compared to just over $1,000 per week in December of 2019. But aside from supply and demand, we have to remember that travel nurses are paid more for a reason. They are incentivized for leaving their families back at home in places they've never been to before for extended periods of time. And with COVID consuming the entire hospital system, it only makes sense that they would get paid more for leaving their families behind. And another topic I take issue with is the fact that these legislators are so concerned about nurse pay, but they're not concerned about CEO compensation in this country. Since 1978, CEO compensation has grown to over 940%. The typical worker compensation, on the other hand, has risen only 12% during that time. The average pay for CEOs at the top 350 firms in 2018 was $17.2 million. Instead of focusing their attention on travel nurses, What these legislators need to do is focus their attention on capping CEO compensation. Currently, as of the making of this video, there are 22,505 individuals that have signed a petition to stop the efforts to cap travel nursing wages. At the end of the day, this would not even be a topic of discussion if staff nurses would be paid what they deserve. If this letter ultimately becomes the law of the land, I would urge all of you to take a stand and stop traveling for a few months so you could show them how challenging it would be for these facilities to take care of these patients without the addition of travelers. And if you do end up ever having to look for a staff nursing job, I highly recommend you move to California. In fact, I made a video where I talked about the highest paying cities in all of California when you take cost of living into account. So make sure you watch this video here.